I write from inspiration, and when I first came to Agape, I saw a need for music. I know when I was asked to be the choir director, I'd never been a choir director, never had skills in directing a choir, and I had never arranged music for any kind of choral ensemble, anything. And I began with what I had, what I knew. And even with my belief system being, I was trying to understand God. I was trying to build my own faith and my own foundation internally. And so I just allowed myself to be where I was and to do the best I could. And that unfolded into music that the church could use. I was a songwriter before I came to Agape, but I wasn't really writing from inspiration. I was writing from frustration. You know, a lot of my songs were about pain and what have you, and how I was waiting for the love that my heart deserved. And when would I have this, and why, and what is it all about, Alfie? I didn't write that one. That was Burt Bacharach.
My dad actually told me about Agape. My dad, like I said, is really interested in music his whole life, and he had discovered this church through a meditation center he was going to. And he said, "You got to go to this church, Rick. They have a great gospel choir. You were in a choir in college. You got to check it out. The minister is awesome. He's very charismatic, and he doesn't talk about Jesus. And well, he does, but not in the the official old school way."
Traditionally, our gospel, which has been a very powerful healing force in the community, oftentimes speaks about a God outside of oneself, and oftentimes makes the presence of God exclusive to Jesus the Christ. Whereas our teaching and our music, we embrace the teachings of Jesus, but we don't deny those same teachings, same principles that Jesus taught in other religions through other teachers. So this particular genre is not exclusive. It includes the teachings and the practices and the principles that are found in every major religion. And so it is very important, particularly in the days in which we are living, where there's so much divisiveness and separation and potential for war and damage to the soul, that this kind of message and this kind of music is on the planet.
So I went to church service with my wife at the time, and it was really funny because we were sitting there talking and whispering, like saying, "Wow, this is really really cool." And then we started whispering about something else that had nothing to do with Agape at all. And there was someone who sat next to us, and she said, "Well, if you don't like Agape, you shouldn't come here." We weren't even talking about Agape. So I was like, "Man, these people are freaks, man. I don't want to have anything to do with them anymore." So I didn't go back for a while. And then she and I got divorced, and she was out of my life, and I was in a very painful time. I was in a lot of pain, and so I said, I'm going to try this again. So I went back to church again. It was a choir Sunday, and I just remember seeing Tony Novell, another singer, friend of mine, sing for the choir, and he just touched me so much singing "I Had a Revelation." And I said, man, I've got to be a part of it.
Hold on, don't you worry. Hold on, we can make it. Hold on, everything will be alright. Some people like to worry, some people like to cry, some people like to run away from the pain inside.
And so the next day I actually called Ricky Byers on the phone, and I said, "Hi, I'm Eric Peterson, I'm a singer," and blah, blah. I told her about myself. And she said, "Well, great, why don't you come and sing for me?" And I said, "Oh, okay, great." So we made an appointment for 3 weeks later, and I wrote a couple songs in the meantime that I thought would be, good to show, because I had written a lot of Christian stuff in the past. I used to be a born-again Christian. So I wrote some new stuff that was more along the lines of the new thought that I'd perceived, and performed them for her. She loved my singing. She said, "Great, we'll call you," that kind of thing. So I sat down and I said, "Well, do you mind if I listen to the rest of the singers? And she said, no, not at all. There was a woman singing the following Sunday, 3 days later, who was singing a song called Love Breaks the Chain. It's a Vanessa Williams song. And another one, Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. And so Ricky was trying to play for the rehearsal with this woman named Candace, actually. And she was playing and she couldn't quite get it. And she looked at it and she said, Eric, you're a piano player. Do you want to try to play these? And I said, yes. And now here's the destiny part of it right here. I had learned 2 songs the week before to get into a band, to audition for a band, and it was the same exact 2 songs that she was practicing that day. So I said, I know those songs very well. I just learned them. You know? So here I am playing for the rehearsal. It went great. And Ricky said, well, you're playing for service in 2 days. So from the time I auditioned, 2 days later I was playing in rehearsal, and it just kept going for 9 years until I moved away.
From the very beginning, it has been infused with music. I always felt that music was not just here to support the ministry, but the music is a ministry unto itself. Music with its power to heal, its power to educate and transform lives through the melody, through the rhythm, through the lyrics, is a ministry.
I just want to say one thing. You will notice in our introductions that we're not saying this person did this, they did that. The people are coming up here and they're playing and singing. Because all that they've done and all the places they have been and all that they have realized is showing up right here. And so we're not doing long introductions about all the many, many things, but as you can see, you can feel where folks are living from, you know? And so I just wanted to say that, because Kevin, we could go on and on about his Grammys and his traveling and his this and his that. But more than anything, he's a great person that goes to our church.
I feel very honored to be here tonight. I mean that. So I'm just going to play some, this is such a spiritually high-minded crowd. I think I'll play something kind of low down. All right. All right, you ready? Little story. Well, my baby, she wrote me a letter. She didn't call me on the phone. 5 little words was all she wrote. She says, see you later, I'm gone. She had no explanation about why she had to go. Well, I can't take a joke, but I can take a hint. She don't love me no more. Well, if nobody loves you and you're feeling like dust on an empty shelf, just remember that you can love yourself. Oh, somebody that got me know what I'm talking about. Well, my mother said that she loves me, but you know she could be jiving too. And everybody's always criticizing everything that I do. I work 9 to 5, do the best I can, try to please the boss. I bought a big old house and a brand new car, y'all, and then it laid me off. Well, now if nobody loves you and you're feeling like dust on an empty shelf, just remember that you can love yourself. That's right. Everybody got to have some kind of thought to hold on to and everything, you know. Something that gives them peace of mind no matter what's happening. So I'm just going to keep this song going, because 'cause it's a messy song. Now every time I meet a lady that I wanna try to get to know, either I'm too small or she's too tall, y'all, or she's rich and I'm poor. So I call my old friend Hazel May. I ask her out for a little date. She said, I'm married now and I got 3 little kids. Boy, you know you're just a little too late. Well, don't laugh at me. Well, now if nobody loves you and you're feeling like dust on an empty shelf, just remember, yeah, that you can love yourself. Oh, Lord, if nobody loves you, oh, and you're feeling like crumbs on an empty shelf, just remember, got to love yourself. You can love yourself. Hug yourself. Jump back and kiss yourself. Wait a minute. That's a lot of work.
Approximately 14 years ago, a friend of mine gave me a tape, and he had written a song with this woman, and he wanted me to listen to the song to see if I liked it. So I listened to the song and I said, the song's okay, but who's singing the song? And he said, it's a woman by the name of Ricky Byers, but, you know, don't call her. She's a little cynical, and she's not going to really want to be involved with what you're doing. And I said, no. I heard something in this woman's voice. I know her destiny. I said, her voice has the power to heal, and I need to meet her. And he said, it's not going to do any good, but I'll give you the phone number. Sure enough, I called her, and what he described is what I met on the phone. You know, kind of cynical, a little caustic. And so we had a very humorous conversation. I was inviting her to to sing at the church.
When I came to Agape, I began to understand what having a vision is all about, because Agape is built on the vision process. And I began to anchor more and more in the truth of who I really was and am. And that manifested in my life becoming more and more on purpose. It's almost like my life went like this. Everything began to work. The puzzle was fitting. The pieces were coming together because I was coming together. And then I began to write from inspiration, and not from what I didn't have, but from who I am. And so whenever you wake up and you learn to love yourself, you begin to embrace others as well. You want to love others, you know, and you're reaching out and you want to take care of people. You want to help them as they wake up, you know, as they awaken. And so that longing in me to serve God and to be here for God, to be the vessel for God, has manifested in this music that is for God.
Yeah, that's true. Texas, number one. Denise came from charts. Philadelphia's in the house. Wow, this looks like another Agape choir who they didn't dress. That's what I'm saying.
one thing we have to ask ourselves is, what is New Thought music? You know, it's almost like we have to find a workable title, name, handle for this music that really doesn't have a box. This is music that's out of the box, so how do we describe it?
The kind of music I make, I used to call it pop inspirational. Now I don't call it pop inspirational anymore. I just call it adult contemporary pop. And people can put whatever opinion they want on what I do when they hear my music. I do have some songs that would be definitely considered gospel or New Thought, but I don't consider myself to be a New Thought artist, quote unquote.
How long will it take till we realize we made a big mistake? Yeah, we turned our back on us. How long will it be till the world can finally see that they turn their back on love from one to another? It's time to uncover the meaning of it all. So here it is. We are here 'cause we are family, living all together. See the shining sea. We are here, many nations under God. Gotta learn to love each other. That's why we are here. That's the chorus. Time has come for everyone to look inside their hearts and realize that there's a meaning to it all. I forgot the words, so I'll start again. Look inside their hearts and realize there's a meaning to it all. Oh, so many say living is a waste of time. You get yours and I'll get mine. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, from one to another. We were created to shine a light to a darkened world. We are here. We are family, living all together. See the shining sea. I think about the we are here, many nations under God. Gotta learn to love each other. That's why we are little friends circling around the sun. And I bet we are not the only one. Maybe there are others who
As we bring this music to the marketplace, and when I say the marketplace, I'm really meaning just to a wider audience, to a greater consciousness. That's what we're doing. We're bringing our thought to a larger consciousness. Then we will come up against categories like inspirational music. I've heard spiritual alternative. I've heard, obviously there's contemporary Christian. And I think what we're doing here is very different. So how do we distinguish ourselves? How do we stand in that marketplace, including those ideas, but find our own place?
Saying my prayer, I heard this voice say, let me stop you right there. I think it's time that we clear the air. If you don't mind, I've got something to share. Now, you bring me your sins, you bring me your guilt, you pray for release from that prison you've built. You come praying for money, praying for love. You pray for some power to come down from above. You pray that you'll get something that you haven't got yet. I pray you'll discover that there's nothing more to get. Oh, my precious child, please don't pray to me, begging and beseeching that I might be every little thing that you think you're not. Come on now, show me what you've got. It's there in your hand. The end of the rainbow is right where you stand. You've been given a gift. Don't you know what it is? You keep praying for answers, but this is not a quiz. I can't give you any more than everything. I'm no more powerful than the faith you bring. Oh, my precious child, please don't pray to me, begging and beseeching that I might be every little thing that you think you're not. Come on now, show me what you got. Just one more thing. I wonder what you'd pray for if you only knew it's already been given, the answer to the prayers you. Now I've heard your prayers, and I pray that you hear mine. I've given you the light, all I ask is that you shine. Show me what you believe in. Show me how you live. Show me that love you've been longing for. How much can you give? Oh, my precious child, please don't pray to me, begging on the sea child. Show me what you got. Precious child of mine. Show me what you got. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Show me what you got. Can I get an amen? Show me what you got.
We're here at Tower Records today because Tower Records represents the mainstream music industry, but it also has the unique distinction amongst retail stores of being the store that has the most diversity, has the most categories, genres, and styles of music. It's a complete distribution, or a complete retail store, deep catalog as they're called. And we're talking about New Thought music, which is a genre that is defined by its spiritual intention rather than by a particular music style. As we look around the store here, we would find folk music, blues music, country music, all different musical styles. New Thought music, and artists in the New Thought genre perform in all those styles, but the genre is defined by their intention, by their message, and by the place from which the creation occurs, which is that divine inspiration that we look for and that many artists look for and recognize and may call it by different names. And that is its strength, but it's also one of the unique challenges, given that when you get into a record store environment like this, you'll find bins marked blues and country and pop and folk and R&B, and all of these musical styles are contained within the genre that we're describing as New Thought music.
I think that throughout the years there have been artists who have done, quote, New Thought music without being New Thought artists. Stevie Wonder, even Elton John. I mean, he sings that song, Love is the Opening Door. I mean, that was a long time ago, right? James Taylor, you know, what's the one, Shower the People. You know, songs like that that are just brilliant. They're probably one of his most popular songs is Shower the People, you know, but nobody says, oh, I'm going to go hear a New Thought artist. His name is James Taylor, you know. He is James Taylor. He is a unique artist doing his own thing. And that's what we have here. Now, I think people who talk in their songs about spirit and about God, now that's a different thing. That's more like New Thought gospel or something, you know, or New Thought spiritual.
Here we have music that is so connected to in literature, books and aisles of books that you'd see in a bookstore, and perhaps not labeled New Thought, but maybe labeled self-help. Then, you know, that was a market that was somewhat available if you were a writer, but there was no similar vehicle available to you if you were a musician or a performer. So this whole idea unfolded of an organization or a company or a venture that at the heart of it would have, and what occurred to me in this first vision were 3 M's, and it was the message, the ministry, and the music. And I think, again, to quote Reverend Michael this morning, when he said, music isn't just a support of ministry or building of community and new thought, our sort of kindred spirits, it's its own message, it's its own system for delivering a message, an expression of a message.
Now, you know, I did that song at my daughter Layla's wedding. I don't say stepdaughter anymore, she's my daughter. And also did this one. It was woven into the, God, I love y'all. And I love Reverend Ricky. I really love y'all. Y'all my teachers and my friends, and that's a great combination. And this is a song that my friends and my teachers wrote together, and that my daughter did her vows to. Trust love, trust love, trust love. God is everywhere. We all are here to be perfect givers of love and receivers of love, and love will have the final word. Trust God. Same thing. Trust love. Trust God that love is everywhere. We all are here to be perfect givers of love and receivers of love, and love will have the final word. Now, no one ever loses when one trusts love. Love is something that will never fail. Love is the essence of the Spirit that is known by always giving. Love judges not, and love renews. Yes, love renews. Love is a healer. Oh, yes, it is. Love loves to love. Love loves to love, and we'll keep on being love, and we'll keep on being love. This is its only way. Trust love and lean on love. Trust God, trust love. The love in God is everywhere, and we all are here to be the perfect givers of love and receivers of love, and love will have the final word. No one ever loses when loved ones trust love. True love is something that will never affair. Love is the essence of the Spirit that is known by always giving. Love judges not, and love renews. Yes, love renews, and love is a healer. Oh, yes it is. Love loves to love, and love loves to love, and we'll keep on loving, and just will keep on being loved. This is its only way. Trust love and lean on love. Trust love, trust love, trust God that love is everywhere. And we all are here to be the perfect givers of love and receivers of love. And love will have the final word. And we all are here to be, come on, perfect givers of love and receivers of love. And love will have the final word.
When I think about how this genre of music is going to get out there, first of all, grassroots. There's a lot of people right now that when they hear the sound of Agape or the spiritually alternative music that comes out of our community, they just buy it before they even hear it. They know it's going to be good. And so right now it's being distributed through many churches, those that are of the New Thought genre, and a lot of the other churches are now picking up on it. Our songs are being sung in a lot of spiritual communities now. So I think the grassroots is really catching fire around the nation. So now a formal way of it getting out is beginning to unfold. It's happening through the internet, through Ricky's distribution site. It's happening through the center here, through our bookstore, and other bookstores are now beginning to carry it. So I think now that it will become a genre of its own. And whether or not it goes into a regular mainstream record store or not, I don't know. Record business is changing. That's not the way business is being done as much anymore.
Among these 13 religious groups, each of them having hundreds to thousands of centers, and each of those centers having hundreds to thousands of attendees and certainly mailing lists, you start to put that all together and say, there's a huge universe here. So one of the services we could perform is bring that together so people could learn how big the genre is outside of their community or their current bookstore exposure.
To success, having big cars and big houses and, drinking Dom Perignon in the backseat of your limousine? Or is it just going out and being that expression of God that you're here to be? And I mean, I think that I can live really comfortably and live really well and go out and express this music and be that expression of this music. And I mean, I'm very successful right now.
One of the issues is that each people work individually, they only have so much commercial clout. But if they can find a way to connect and to cooperate with each other and find a business structure that is fair to each other and to their business partners and use their collective commercial clout, it'll be better than anyone individually trying to do it.
Among these 13 religious groups, each of them having hundreds to thousands of centers, and each of those centers having hundreds to thousands of attendees and certainly mailing lists, you start to put that all together and say, there's a huge universe here. So one of the services we could perform is bring that together so people could learn how big the genre is outside of their community or their current bookstore exposure. And then what occurred was, well, how would you get all these messengers, writers, authors, together, much like is being done, and I would say in maybe the motivational circuit, where you'd have speakers and music together. And I said, you know, this is very universally appealing music. So then we said, well, how could we move these people around so they could be exposed to more and more audiences? So now came the events planning part of it. So now we have production to distribution to events, and finally, ultimately licensing and taking these works, these artistic works, out to people who are doing films and movies and so on. So we put out a call to 20 that we knew of around the country, who led to another 20. Till we now have 139. Count in a good 20 to 30 from this weekend. And there's 150 people who have all taken their music to their own production to date. So we've identified that group, and we said one of the places we'll start is putting compilations out. So the compilations then will get distributed. In that process, a very diverse and fragmented market will start coming together. Then, which is another part of what Awant's job is. And those two pieces are already underway. And then there are already people who want to explore venues like family arenas, giving writers, authors, speakers, ministers, etc., a chance to couple with music to address, you know, family concerns, because these are all contemporary issues that we're all dealing with. And then finally finding other vehicles. And the key thing throughout all of this, Awant's job, so to speak, is with all these kind of spheres of activity going on, is to really act as kind of air traffic controller and set up a communication system for music directors, ministers, musicians, writers, consumers, bookstore owners and managers to communicate with one another and thereby get everybody a lot more connected to be relevant and have accessibility on a broader scale. Every artist has agreed that karaoke versions or other versions of their work can be used free by any center that's growing as part of their commitment in being on the compilation. So the whole notion of giving back is an important part of the venture. And the other one would be mentoring, getting experienced people from all these aspects of business to give of their time, certainly to be paid, but to in the beginning help develop all this and mentor a lot of these people in their expression and their artistic breadth of skill, I would say.
So this is how it all began, son. Go with God. Yeah. Get your turn.
You are a child of God, pure and protected. The universe will not allow unwanted rejection. You must learn that you're not alone. I will send someone with love to hold your hand. And all your gifts are not mere coincidence. There's a plan mapped out for you. Open your eyes, don't be surprised. What you see soar into flight, and it's right, for the journey's never ending. That's where I'll be. You are a child of God. Yes, you've been selected. Everywhere I've placed someone to guide you in your direction. It's your turn and you're not alone. Show the world you're chosen one. You're in good hands. You'll understand that all your gifts are not mere coincidence. There's a plan mapped out for you. Open your eyes, don't be surprised. What you see soar into flight, and it's alright, for the journey's never ending. That's where I'll be. No, your gifts are not mere coincidence. There's a plan mapped out for you. Open your eyes, don't be surprised. What you see soar into flight, and it's alright, for the journey's never ending. That's where I'll be. That's where I'll be. That's where I'll be.
Darlicia Cersei.
A funny story about how I ended up at Agape. I was on a plane. There was a pretty lady sitting next to me. This was before I was married. And we were talking, and we were talking about music, and we were talking about the Lake Shrine in Pacific Palisades, which is a park that's devoted to the religions of the world, and they have Sunday services there that are quite lovely. And but the music there is very kind of childlike and simplistic. So we were talking about how much we both loved the Lake Shrine, but the music was a little less than inspirational. And she said, well, if it's music you love, there's a new kind of startup church in Santa Monica called Agape, and the music's just wonderful and multicultural and rich and really happening, and why don't you meet me there next Sunday? We were both flying to Los Angeles. So I made my way to Agape that Sunday morning, I think mostly to see her again, which, needless to say, never happened. I never saw her again in my life, but I never left Agape from that day on. I grew up as a Catholic and eventually left that church as my spiritual vision became expanded out beyond what Catholicism holds. I didn't reject any of those things, but I was feeling that I needed more room for my spiritual discovery and expression. And kind of went on my own independent journey for years, but felt very much like a loner, like there wasn't any group that I could really participate with or be supported by. And came to Agape very early on in its first year or so of being a church. And the second I heard the church break into song and heard Michael speak, I thought, my gosh, I'm home.
I would say that New Thought music is music from any genre which amplifies the message that we are one people on one planet sharing one spiritual journey.
If you're preparing food, let's say salad, you're going to do this salad. The idea comes that, we need a salad. Well, why do we need a salad? Because the salad is healthy, because it's going to nurture our bodies, because it's going to make us feel good. Okay, so you get the ingredients for your salad, and then you get your plates, and then you distribute the salad, and then everybody enjoys it, and we're all better because of it. With the music, there was the idea that the music was needed, that we needed the type of music for this faith that could help people open beyond show tunes. That would, where you put God in there, or, you know what I mean, and so the deal is that, so we began to, the thought and the desire, the vision created this body of work, and I can talk for myself, but I see this body, like a lot of people are creating now. And so now we do have material that is becoming more and more plentiful, and the way that goes out into the world will be revealed in this conference alone. Many people are coming forth. There's a man here at the conference who has a whole idea about distribution. And I'm discovering it just with my own company, how to get the music out. And it's all about making friends. It is all about making friends and not being frustrated when it feels like you hit a wall of thought that is not inclusive and that is insisting on being separate and that you're not it, so go away. In the name of Jesus, you get that. So just learning how to love and how to be consistent in the loving as we learn to design the kind of systems that will work. I believe in the next 3 years we're going to see, I think in the next year, for 3 years, in the next year we'll hear more of the product coming from New Thought community, New Thought ancient wisdom communities, people who hear, just people who live for God. Without, there'll be more of that kind of music around. Like I hear it all the time on the radio. I'm shopping and I hear different artists singing about, hey, God is this, and what if God were one of us?
It's being played all over the world. So like every other day I get an email from somebody in Taiwan or from, Israel, and they'll say, I love that song, Carried. Where did it come from? And it came from here. So of course I told Ricky, and she said, why don't you tithe the money to the church?
that can be the way that love is happening today. This life is the place where we brave ones come to harvest what God has sown into our hearts. And if we are all joined by connectedness, then every prayer that will leave your lips is my prayer too. All I know that matters anyway is that all that we really have is what we give away. 'Cause we're Father into grace, with every single step we take, we are Cause we can be the way that love is happening today. Step we take, we carry. 'Cause we can be the way that love is happening today.
Catherine Bird York. Carried.
I'd like to share with you a song I wrote. I was reading an article about some children, I believe they were in the Congo, during a civil war, a 5-year-long civil war. And these children were taken from their homes at the age of 3, sometimes as young as 3 or 4, and taught to be killers. And the war went on. They were taught to use machetes to terrorize people. The different warlords used these children for 5 years. And at the end of the war, not even their parents wanted them back. so I was crying for these children and for what war does to children. And then it started pouring rain. And I was holding this rain stick, and I wrote this song for the children of the world called Let Peace Reign. Let peace reign like the flowing waters. Let peace reign in the lives of our sons and daughters. Let peace reign. Rain like a rushing river. Let peace reign. Peace for the life giver. Let peace reign. Rain like the flowing water. Let peace reign in the lives of our sons and daughters. Let peace reign. Rain like a rushing river. Let peace reign. Peace for the life giver. Haven't we learned all we needed to know about suffering and dying? Haven't we learned all we needed to know about warring and spying? Haven't we learned all we needed to know about hatreds and sorrows? I think we'd better learn peace today. Oh, we'll have no tomorrows. Let peace reign. Rain like the flowing waters. Let peace reign in the lives of our sons and daughters. Let peace reign. Rain like a rushing river. Let peace reign. Peace from the life giver. Haven't we learned all we needed to know about weapons and power? Haven't we snuffed out enough lives of young men in their flower? Haven't we learned all we needed to know about gangs and their violence? I think we better learn peace today, or our voice will be silenced. Let peace reign. Peace like a flowing water. Let peace reign in the lives of our sons and daughters. Let peace reign. Rain like a rushing river. Let peace
like the flowing waters. Let peace reign in the lives of our sons and daughters. Let peace reign like a rushing river. Let peace reign. Peace from the life giver.
You Anointed Me is what I call a diamond song. They call it in Nashville, they call them diamonds. Songs that are already written and you just kind of come across them. And they're already like a diamond in the, in the rough, in the black coal. You find them and they're there. Basically, You Anointed Me came in about 20 minutes on a Casio, cheap Casio keyboard. I didn't have my piano. I was just moved into my new place. And this cheap Casio, I'm like, let me do something a little bit more classical. This is kind of cool. Played a little intro, C to G7 with D in the bass. And then just go, you anointed me with your spirit. And then I looked up the word anointed because I thought it was with two N's. And I wanted to say, what does anointed mean? I had no idea. This just came to me. You anointed me. I had to look it up. What does it mean? And I don't even remember what it means now, but to be anointed means to be kind of blessed in a sense. You anointed my head with oil, and in the Bible they talk about that all the time. You anointed me with your spirit. You anointed me with your love. You cast away all these chains around my heart, all the holding on, all the pain that we unnecessarily go through in life. You set my spirit free. You anointed me, and it just came.
Go ahead, Eric. He was kind enough to say, okay, you can do it, but you have to remind people it's on my CD. At which point I was real glad to see Eric. Go on, Eric. I'm in love with God, and that means that I'm in love with you. And one of those things that we figured out that makes it so easy to love God is that the ministry is to just be and do what it is you are and do. And this is my love song to God as told through the genius of my brother Eric. You anointed me with your spirit, and you anointed me with your love. Cast away all these chains, and you set my spirit free. You anointed me. You supply all that I need, and you showed me that it's all inside of me. All the love, all the power, all the peace is there for me to see. You anointed me, and you anointed me by giving me peace now. You anointed me by giving me hope, and you anointed me by giving me time to learn to love, and time to know what I know I can be. You anointed me, yeah. Oh, come on, y'all. Flowing like a river, running free. Yes, your spirit, it just lives inside of me, and it's taken me to places that I never thought I'd see. You anointed me. Yes, you anointed me by giving me peace now. You anointed me by giving me hope. And you anointed me by giving me time to learn to love, and time to know what I know I can be. You anointed me by giving me with your strength, and by filling me with your power, and I know there is nothing I can't do. You anointed me by giving me peace now, and you anointed me by giving me, fill me up, fill me up, fill me up to the top. You anointed me by giving me time to learn to love, and time to know that I know I can be. You anointed me. I want to thank you, God, for living deep in me. You anointed me.
One of the things I figured out is that I am one of the concepts that I am very clear on and very happy to know is that the Bible says we are made in the image of God. Well, I believe that was a misprint. I think we are the image of God because God is not image. And in this plane, on this earth, in this place, these hands are God's hands, these eyes are God's eyes, and the work that's done God's work is done through us. And so this is God's voice. And when I figured that out, I let it go. And then I realized that whatever I sing is sacred. Wherever I sing it, to whomever I sing it. And that was a great breakthrough for me. So another opportunity to just let go.
I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. You get your fill to eat and always keep that hunger. May you never take one single breath for granted. God forbid love ever leave you empty-handed. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. And when one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me you'll give faith a fighting chance. And when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.